ni tight corner.
Eno itawa tight corner.
Boya, hii ndio tight corner.
This is a tight corner. The tight corner. God bless.
Eno ni tight corner.
Eno itawa tight corner.
Boya, hii ndio tight corner.
This is a tight corner. The tight corner. God bless.
Eno ni tight corner.
Eno itawa tight corner.
Boya, hii ndio tight corner.
This is a tight corner. The tight corner. God bless.
Shalom and a very good evening, a very good day, a good morning, depending on where you're watching us from. And today, by the grace of God, is another time that God has given us to come to you live on this platform and get to discuss a number of issues here and there, and just to know what's happening around us. You see, the Bible in the book of Hosea chapter number 4 and verse number 6 says that my people perish for lack of knowledge. Actually, this kind of knowledge that is being talked about is not specified. So you realize that living in ignorance is actually one way of getting lost. You see, the Bible itself is not a book for fools. Actually, the Bible is a scholarly book, is scholarly work, is writing that needs a person who can understand and comprehend issues. If you do not, or if you cannot be able to understand what is written, definitely you'll be a victim of misinterpretation, you'll be a victim of false doctrine, you'll be a victim of things that do not actually agree with what God says, because some people will read and interpret them to mean other things. So welcome to tonight's show. It's a wonderful day that God has given us, and today it's wonderful. I'm not alone. Today I decided to host one of the great servants of God around, and I'm sure that you will be blessed. So before we get to invite the guest onto the show tonight, I'd like you to share what we are airing. Please let your friend know that we are live. Let someone know that indeed we are live. Yes, please take a moment and share the show to the honor and the glory of God. It must be educative. People must get to know about these things. Please share.
When the foundations are shaken, what are the righteous supposed to do? When everyone else is crying, when things don't seem to be working, when it looks like everything is going south, promises are not being kept, whatever we thought will happen is not what is happening, what are we supposed to do? Or is it really whatever we thought that is going to happen that is not happening? What did we expect? How are we supposed to look at things today? When the foundations are shaken, what will the righteous do? Shall we hold our hands back and just say all is well? Shall we be on the offensive, and how? Shall we voice out our voices? Shall we speak out To who? Where? How? Why should we speak? Why shouldn't we speak? Every government comes from God. Shall we blame God for this? Shall we not blame him? Is it really a bad government, or is it a good government? Join us tonight at the tight corner.
5 kwa mwezi. Mtu anakata NSSF, NHIF, resi, income tax, pay as you earn as you pay, marriage tax, pedestrian tax, zebra crossing tax, traffic lights tax, value added tax, tax added value. Ile kitu bwana anapaki kwenda kuchukua ni ile karatasi ya payslip. Utakataa kupewa kitu kidogo. Watu nyali bwana.
As we look into the issue of financing a nation. Shalom. See you there.
Great. So here we are. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for inviting a friend to know this. I said, Hosea 4:6, my people perish for lack of knowledge. And so tonight, other than just hearing the normal, the Bible says and the Bible doesn't say this or etc., we also want to be familiar with the environment that we are in. Because you realize that ignorance imesababisha Wakristo wengi sana kukuwa taken away into charlatanism, into worship of very funny things. And so tonight, I'm joined by a great servant of God, Apostle, Reverend, Doctor, ama ni Major One. Please introduce yourself to the viewer.
Right. Thank you so much, my precious viewer, and thank you for tuning tonight and also for taking time to share the video with you. I'm Reverend Young Atho, and I love the Lord so much. Thank you for having me on this podcast.
Wow.
Right.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, Reverend Atho, you are coming from Athi River.
Oh, yes.
All the way from Athi River. That's where you're serving God from.
All the way from Athi River, correct.
So, many people say that ministry is all about money and it is business. So, how do you find it there? How is business?
If ministry was a business, then I always say that politicians could have hired some people to stand in for them and do that business.
Wow.
They just wait on a Sunday and wait for some returns. But because this is not possible and they know that,
Yeah.
Ministry is a warfare affair. And so it's only those who are called that survive. We thank God because of His grace upon us as we minister in that ancient city.
So you cannot qualify by any standards that ministry is a business.
It is the business of God.
It's a business of God.
Yes.
Ushasikia hiyo. I always say, if you think that ministry is a business, you know, when you see a business that is doing well, the thing, ile kitu mse ufanya, you open either of that kind or something similar to that.
Correct.
But of course, there are people who always take advantage of genuine and legitimate engagements to try and do something that is fake.
Yes.
Somebody said something, you know, this is an easy show, but it's a tight corner, so definitely I'm going to push you into some tight corner.
Oh, yes.
And expect you to come out of that corner safe and sound. So somebody said that some people invented a machine for detecting theft, a machine to detect thievery, such that you cannot steal. But when they took it around the world and brought it to Kenya, the machine was stolen.
And we know the people who stole it.
And we know the people who stole it.
Yes.
Wow. Are we being stolen from? Are people stealing from us?
I would say yes and no, depending on the context of where we may go with it.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so, you know, looking at how the things are today in the world around, we have so many people asking themselves many questions. Is this government from God, by God? Is God aware of what is happening? Is God not aware? And so there comes a time where people want to be certain, is God in it or is God not in it? You remember there's a time there was some calamity in a place because of the Ark of the Covenant.
Yes.
And they decided to say, now let's see, is it God or is it witchcraft? So, you know, people write on the internet and they begin to say, si uchawi ni maombi. So, where we are as a nation, ni maombi, ama ni uchawi? It's a tight corner I'm putting you into.
I know, and it's very important for the people of Kenya to acknowledge that we have the three wills of God, and of course, even as we look into our government, it doesn't necessarily mean that a government that is from God, everything will be sailing through. There is one thing that God never promised. He never promised a smooth sailing, but he promised a safe landing. And so I believe even in marriage context, you may be in a marriage that basically you are having a lot of problems with your spouse, but it's still within the will of God. And I believe that there was the hand of God when this government, Kenya Kwanza government, came into power. But there could be some decisions that are being made currently which maybe God is not involved. So we may not be able to confuse the two. The hand of God may have been involved in bringing up this government into place, but then the question we need to ask is some of the decisions, especially financial and economic decisions that we make, do we really involve God, and is it really the perfect will of God to undertake such decisions?
Wow. So God can actually be involved in bringing in a government.
Correct.
But sometimes it is the people that are in that government
Correct.
that make some weird decisions.
Correct.
So is this, I think this is pointing me back to the scripture that says, I have put life and death ahead of you. And then it says that choose life that you may live. You see, the ability to choose or the freedom of choice, God has given unto us. So he says, fine. You see, I am also reminded of the time when the Israelites said they wanted to have a king. And God said, okay, mfalme tu. He decided to give them Saul. And so at some point he comes and says, I have rejected Saul.
I've rejected.
Mpaka hata vile alililiwa na the prophets, Samuel. God tells Samuel, how long will you weep over somebody that I've rejected? I'm not saying somebody has been rejected. Don't misquote me. But I'm just agreeing with what the man of God is saying, that indeed there is a probability that God has given us a government. But the decisions they make, God anakaa tu hivi anawaangalia aone vile kutaenda.
That's true.
So interestingly, there has been a very huge debate. And many people keep saying, hii serikali ni ya kanisa, ni kanisa ilitutesa, ni kanisa ilitufanyia hivi. What is your opinion about, is this church or is this government?
Yeah, I think people are dragging the name of the church into this because the current president, who was then by then the deputy president, is a church person, and
but he's not a pastor.
He's not a pastor.
He doesn't run any church.
No.
So he's just a religious person.
He's a religious, and from what we saw during the campaigns, of course, he said he was a Sunday school teacher or something like that. So being a Sunday school teacher makes him a pastor.
Okay.
So from the way we see currently is because his campaigns were so much centered in the church, and noting the population of the church in Kenya, he used that as mileage in order also to get to power. And so from that time onwards up to now, the name of the church has been so much dragged into the government, so that even any decision that the government is making, people feel that the church is also part of it, and it is the church who has brought us into all this mess.
But I think, in my own humble opinion, this is what I would want to say to the general person watching us there.
Yes.
It is important for us to discover, acknowledge the fact that church is distinct from state.
Yes.
it is important for them to acknowledge that church has its constitution called the Bible,
That's true.
and Kenya as a country has its constitution called the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya,
Of Kenya.
which governs and rules this country.
Yes.
Everyone elected into office. You see, the way they say, oh, they saw using a Bible or a Quran or whatever. A country is run administratively,
Yes.
and administration has no faith.
That's true.
Administration is not necessarily Christian, Hindu, or whatever. When you go to school and they are teaching you about management, if they are teaching you church management, they will teach you based on Christian faith.
Yes.
If they are teaching you a mosque management, they will teach you based on Muslim
Correct.
faith. But when they are teaching you to run a government, you just learn something called administration.
Administration.
You see, administration is just administration.
Yes.
And so there are policies that if the government messes around with, it doesn't matter how we pray. There are things that won't work. It's just like the principles and the laws that govern money.
Yes.
You can be a very good brother, prayerful, a prayer warrior. There's a likelihood that you won't make any money.
That's true. That's true.
There are principles that are just there.
Oh.
And so as the general public, they keep saying, "Ini serikali ya kanisa na nini na nini." You know, what is the percentage of serious Christians in this country? I think it's very little.
It's very little.
You see, many people say Christian here names, just like myself. So you hear serious Christian names being accused of graft. So you cannot say supposed to do. Is there any importance and any significance to this thing called public participation? I want us to come and talk about the issue of taxation. I want us to talk about the finance bill and the budget. We'll go to heaven and earth, doesn't matter. But we've forgotten the fact that the Bible says, occupy till I come.
Till I come.
So how do we occupy? How do we make sure that as church we are relevant? How do we make our voice heard? Is it okay if we make our voice heard? Is it okay if we talk about these things? And by the way, none of us is seeking for an elective position.
Oh, yes.
We are just here to help the children of God to know what is in it for them. Unajua hata David alipotaka kupiga Goliath, he knew he had the capacity.
Yes.
Lakini hakupigana kama mjinga. Hakuwa fala. Aliuliza what will be given
To the man.
to the man that kills this giant. So it is important for church to know where are we, how are we supposed to go, and how are we progressing.
Yes.
So where are we supposed to come in?
Yeah, I know it has been a challenge when it comes to public participation because you find the people that attend those meetings and the discussions that go on, it's like a pre-planned, like you go into a meeting and you find it's already something that is already decided. These are not people coming to ask for your opinion and why you may think otherwise. But already they set up the platform in a way that they carry the day. So that is why the issue of public participation has not been so successful in terms of shooting down some of the oppressive policies.
Okay.
So looking at our finance bill right now, which is has become an elephant in the room, this is something that the church now needs to step up, and especially even when it comes to calling for online demonstrations. I've seen something going on where the MPs, the members of parliaments are being, somebody publicized their telephone numbers.
Yes.
And so people are calling them right, left and center.
Tunakuona.
Yes.
We are waiting for you.
But surprisingly enough, some of the members of parliament have come out clearly. And they have said that whether you call, whether you send SMS, no matter whatever, regardless of what you are going to do, this is what we have decided. Because these are people that belong to a political party, and they play their allegiance and their loyalty
more to the party than to the
to the party than the Mwananchi. I saw somebody trying to argue that the moment you see us here, because they were asking him, do you even care to listen to the voice of the common Mwananchi? And he's saying the voice of Mwananchi has brought us to power. So when you see us sitting in the parliament, it is the voice of Mwananchi. So any decision we are making, it is because the Wananchi brought us here.
You know, there's something else that I would want us to make clear here. You know, bad things happen when good people don't say anything.
Yes.
So sometimes we sit down and things are happening wrongly. And when they're happening wrongly, we are not saying anything. Many people are used to saying, where is the voice of the church? Where is the church? Why is the church silent? Why is the church not speaking? Actually, we speak a lot. Is only that sometimes some of us don't have those platforms where we can be heard fully. But this is such a platform where we are speaking. And you know, occupying means that we occupy and we really occupy.
Yes.
We don't just exist, right? So what is there is a difference between the finance bill and the budget.
Yes.
And I would want us to educate someone today. What is the difference between the finance bill and the budget? Before now we get into the aspects of what is good about this bill and what is not good about it.
Okay, thank you for asking that question. Basically, looking at the budget, budget is actually the forecast. And for this purpose, this government budget is a forecast by the government on in terms of its revenue,
yes,
and also the expenditure. And most cases covering the fiscal year, which is 1 year, period of 12 months.
Yes.
But a finance bill is a money bill that entails the ways that the government is going to raise the funds.
Strategies.
Yes, to finance this particular budget. So I would say that a budget, there are two aspects of the budget. There is always the finance bill and the appropriation bill. And these two forms the main aspects of the budget.
Okay.
So the appropriation bill deal with how the resources are going to be shared out, and the finance bill is how these monies are going to be
raised.
Erased.
So the finance bill is more of a legislative proposal.
Yes.
That accompanies the budget.
Yes.
And it seeks to say what are the measures we are going to enact, which law, which what,
yes,
to be able to raise this money.
Yes.
So don't you think that it's quite an error, logically thinking? You know, law is funny. I'm not a lawyer myself. But don't you think that it's kind of weird that we have a government that is more focused on how it will spend by fronting the budget first? You know, everyone knows the budget is 4.1 trillion.
Yes.
Beyond your budget. How to raise the money? They are hiding us.
Yes.
How to raise the money wanatuficha ficha hivi. How are we raising this money? Don't you think it's quite an error to first of all know what you will spend before you know how you will raise it?
Yeah, this is it has become an issue, and it's really a big issue for our country, where these people come and just give a budget of their expenditure of how they are going to spend. But is when later after that budget they run, how are we going to? And I think what is fueling this idea is the issue of there's so many campaign promises. So already before the person knows where the money is going to come from, remember the budget normally comes in line with the campaign promises, which some people would call manifesto. So taking an example of the current regime, the Kenya Kwanza manifesto, yes, they come and line up their budget based on the Kenya Kwanza manifesto because the manifesto was made even during the campaign before they knew how much even are we going to.
You've reminded me, there's a guy called Matiang'i.
Yes.
One day he said, some of you people, you are being told things, and I'm in government, I'm telling you, that money is not there. And you know, sometimes some of these things, they look funny.
Yes.
But it is important for a man of God, even as we preach to people, so that you don't just pray and pray and pray.
And pray.
You see, prayer also requires wisdom.
Correct. That's true.
You don't just pray for the sake of praying. You pray and there is wisdom on it.
On point.
So you pray and you need to know how to advise your members where to invest and where not to.
To invest.
How to invest and how not to. When to invest and when not to. And some of these things play a very big role because we've seen a lot of companies closing down, and
Yeah.
we will come to that. So basically, I was just pointing out an error that I think perpetually our governments, if I was to be asked to give free advice to the government, and I'm sure they've received this advice time and time, it's only that they don't hear. I don't know what happens to people when they get elected. Something happens and they don't get to understand anymore. I don't know. Because you don't spend what you've not created already or earned. And then we have to borrow 500 billion.
We have to borrow the deficit.
Over. Close to $1 trillion, right? And yet, one of the manifesto promises was, we will not borrow.
We will not borrow.
Why are we too quick to keep the other promises and not keep this one of we will not borrow?
It's a big challenge, especially for the current regime. They really have a lot to battle. They came in and gave people hopes that within 2 years things are going to work out. And during their first year, when they brought up the budget of the fiscal year 2023-2024, I remember when they were touching on taxes on PAYE and the housing levy and the stuff like that, the president was giving hope that we just tighten our belts and in the next few months things are going to come to order. But now, the way things are going, things are getting worse, and that is why the government now has to go back to the incomes and the manufacturing sector, and everybody is crying because now they feel the tax is punitive and it's a burden. It has become a burden.
So have you ever been in a situation whereby, man of God, you gave a child a sweet, and then while they were taking the sweet, you came and told them, bring back the sweet, I want to give you biscuit. So ilikuwa ni eclairs ya 5 bob ama 10 bob. Unamnyang'anya yeye alafu unampea KSL sweet ya 1 bob. And I feel like that's what the government is doing.
Exactly.
They give you something that tastes sweet for a while, and then they take it back. Now, you see, when you look like, for example, the issue of fertilizer, you're told that you'll get cheap fertilizer, then you end up with stones.
With stones. See, it's cheap. When somebody promises you a cheap fertilizer, then they deliver stones.
So, what are we dealing with here? Are we really interested in solving Kenyan's problem?
There could be a big problem that meets the eye. And I think it is a time as a nation. I wish if Kenyans could just come together and even advise the president. If we could do an open letter advising the president, like, we know developments are very crucial to your manifesto and also in defining your legacy. But if every government is going to come in with ambitious investments in terms of development, then this is what is slowly sinking us day in, day out. We saw when the former regime came to power and they initiated very expensive projects like this expressway.
And of course, inflated bonds.
Correct. So you inflate them, and then there were some projects that were never accomplished, like those of dams and Kulalu, whatever that we were hearing last time.
In 6 months.
Yes. So you find that at the end of the day, we have lost a lot of money. Nothing has happened, and then we create a gap that the next regime has to deal with.
Fail.
Right? And also, the next regime coming also has its own projects. So I wish if even they could even stop these developments for a moment.
You know, actually, I was counseling a certain person who came in my office, and they had a lot of debt. Madeni mingi sana. And after listening to them, you know what I told them? The first thing you need to stop is taking any debt.
Is taking debt, correct.
Number 2, thing that you need to stop is to try and get new things. Deal with what you have. And you know, interestingly, by now they are like 70-80% done with their debts.
Wow.
Without increasing them. You know, there's a place you get to and you say, okay, no more new shirt, no more new whatever, no more new. Use what you have.
Use what you have.
As you service the debts and reduce the debts. So here we are struggling with the Euro bonds, we are struggling with this and the other, and we are still borrowing every other day. You know, interestingly, this expressway that was about 300 billion is now 427 billion. So there's 127 billion, you know, that has come, and you can, your guess is as good as mine. When it begins, there will be some unforeseen challenges that will inflate the price to around 520 billion from 427.
And interestingly enough, we saw the other day the president visited the US, and one of the grants and the support he got from the US government is to extend the expressway to Mombasa.
Yes.
And they were saying that this will reduce the time that we take from been rolling those taxes. You know, there's a way you can introduce a change that people do not feel it.
Maybe let me just introduce you once again to the viewer. This is not just a man of God who is preaching because alikosa job. This is a man of God who understands the issues with the taxation. He is not here courtesy of him being a preacher. He is here courtesy of him not only being a preacher, but also someone who understands the issue of taxation. You see, there are people out there who normally imagine that some of us preach because tulikosa job. No. We are actually professionals. Some of us have left professions. Others are still in the profession as we preach the gospel of Christ. So I want you to know that this is a profession. So when he's talking about taxation, he's talking from a point of information and knowledge. He's not giving you stories. He's not preaching to you. He's actually speaking reality. Isi mambo ya kuenda this taxation, the one that is being proposed in the finance bill. What do we do? How is it affecting us? Kwanza umeanza kuongea historia ya magari. Unajua hii kitu imeshtua watu sana. At motor vehicle tax and something like that. Please.
This is one of the issues that has really brought the outcry in the nation.
And that issue, the government itself doesn't know what it wants, because there is one that says it is capped, and there is another one that says it is not capped.
It is not capped.
Because I saw, was it Kipto or who? This guy, he was being asked on TV the other day, and he said he is not aware. So
a bill, a finance bill, is a very big document. And looking at what they have uploaded on the government platforms and websites, you go and meet a document of 500 pages, and then the time that you are given to analyze this document,
3 days.
3 days. So it becomes so difficult even for scholars to be able to digest and understand the full impact of these new taxes. Now back to the finance bill.
And yet the devil is in the details.
The devil is in the details. This is how, you remember when we were passing the constitution?
Yes.
This is how we got ourselves into a situation where a constitution is a very big document. When we are not given time to articulate the issues, then you find in the process the rights of the lesbians and the homosexuals.
Zimepitishwa tu huko.
Yes, zimepitia hapo.
Because we just said bora baba amesoma.
Bora baba amesoma na ako sawa. Sisi tunaweka yes. Then later we realize, now when the Chief Justice comes and gives those people right to register the organization, then we start crying. But the Chief Justice is interpreting the law.
The Constitution.
The Constitution.
And it is the supreme document, yes.
Correct. So this finance bill, one of the taxes that have been introduced by the government is the motor vehicle tax levy. And this will require the vehicle owners to pay 2.5%. Now, you can imagine if, looking at also the cost of importation of the vehicles, right now if we talk of like Toyota Fielder or Belter, we are talking of something around 2 million, and looking at 2 million, 2.5%, and you have to pay that money annually. The capping that they talked about, I believe it is the minimum. They said
5,000 minimum?
5,000.
No, but there was that confusion because somebody said it's 100,000 maximum. So even if you have a car worth 40 million or whatever the millions, the maximum you can pay for motor vehicle tax was 100,000. But again, I saw another circular say it is not capped. So even the government itself is not sure on how it will handle this thing.
Yeah, from the documentations I've looked into, in terms as far as that motor vehicle circulation tax is concerned, there is no cap towards the maximum amount. So this is something that, that's why you see even the opposition has come out so strongly. They feel this is so punitive and unbearable for the common people. Yeah, but remember we said those who own taxes are dynasties. Those who own cars, these are dynasties.
So we should just be okay with the vehicles being taxed.
This is going to reduce the number of vehicles. I don't know if it is one of the ways they are trying to use to reduce the traffic.
Traffic jams. Could be that's what they're trying to achieve.
Maybe, but again, they are looking at raising revenues.
So what is the ripple effect to the common mwananchi? How is this taxation going to affect the plate on the table? Because at the end of the day, as you desire to raise taxes, you should also desire to raise the standards of the people so that these people are also able to pay taxes.
You know, anytime you raise taxes, for those who are in the industries, in the manufacturing, they find a way of translating that tax
to the final person,
to the final person,
end user.
Yes. So all of this is coming back to the end user, the consumer, who in this case is the common mwananchi. So there is a way that, and that's why these manufacturing firms went during this period of sensitization, they were crying out loud that why can't you remove some of these taxes for these commercial vehicles? Because anytime you touch a commercial vehicle, the manufacturers will definitely transfer that cost to the consumer.
And there will be an issue.
Correct.
Right, we want to take a small break for just 2 minutes. And within those 2 minutes, I'll come back and I'll be taking a call from anyone who wants to call and ask a question. We have an expert in the house today. It's a tight corner, and I'm putting him in a tight corner. And by the grace of God, we have pastors who are learned. We are not just only following mantles and, following where did the Spirit outpour, who gave their lives to Christ where. We also want to know this wealth that is kept in the world there. The Bible says, and I will give you treasures that are hidden in dark places. We want to understand these things so that we will be knowing how do we benefit from this budget that is coming up, so that we as believers also know where to invest and where not to invest. Because the Bible says that the labor of a fool wearies them all, for they do not know the way into the city. We want to know the way into the city by understanding some of these bills. So we are coming back to know, is your bread being taxed? If bread is being taxed, what will you do? How will you survive? Yes, it's a short break. I'll be back in a minute.
When the foundations are shaken, what are the righteous supposed to do? When everyone else is crying, when things don't seem to be working, when it looks like everything is going south, promises are not being kept, whatever we thought will happen is not what is happening, what are we supposed to do? Or is it really whatever we thought that is going to happen that is not happening? What did we expect? How are we supposed to look at things today? When the foundations are shaken, what will the righteous do? Shall we hold our hands back and just say all is well? Shall we be on the offensive, and how? Shall we voice out our voices? Shall we speak out to who, where, how? Every government comes from God. Shall we blame God for this? Shall we not blame Him? Is it really a bad government, or is it a good government? Join us tonight at the tight corner.
That 500 kwa mwezi. Mtu anakata NSSF, NHIF, lesi, income tax, pay as you earn as you pay. Ile kitu bwana anapaki kwenda kuchukua ni ile kitu kidogo. Watu nyalile bwana.
As we look into the alone, see you there. When the foundations are shaken, why else is crying when things don't seem to be working? Look at things today. When the foundation is when, shall we be on the offensive, and how? Shall we voice out? Is it really a bad government, or is it a good government? Join us tonight at the tight corner.
500 kwa mwezi. Mtu anakata NSSF, NHIF, lesi, income tax, pay as you earn bwana anapaki kwenda kuchukua ni ile karatasi ya payslip. Utakata kupewa kitu kidogo. Watu nyalile bwana.
As we look into the issue of financing a nation. Shalom, see you there.
So much for joining in. Apostle Charles Ndonga, man of God, I trust that you're doing well. Pale Down Home, Greenspan Mall. Our people from around there visit the man of God there. There's a worship sanctuary there. Bishop Eston Jagi following, Bishop Deliverance Covenant Church. Thank you so much. Nakio Nyosh tuned in. Abednego Modengi, public participation are never public. I have been to several, but I have never been given a chance to give a view. And by the way, some of these public participations, they're actually public information. I saw an MP get very angry because of what somebody said, and I was like, but you said it's a public participation. So why are you so angry about it if you didn't want to hear about what we think about it? Then you shouldn't have given us an opportunity. Jenny, si mambo ya kwenda binguni, ni mambo ya ground. Yes, how we live here on earth actually determines whether we make it to heaven or not. And you know, poverty is bad. Sometimes you can be there and cursing the government of the day and doing a lot of bad things that can end you in a way that you are not able to make it to heaven. Yeah, please let us know where you're watching us from. Let us know that you've joined in. Emmanuel Jerry Thor, powerful, awesome. This must be related to the speaker, to the guest, the panelist today. I told you this is a great man of God, endowed with knowledge and qualifications in that sector. So I'll be taking a call. If you can call us, just call in live. The number to call is actually on the screen, 0700-496-733 and 496. And right on time, I see there's a call coming in. Let's hear what the person has to say. Hello. Good morning, and please let us know where you're watching us from and what's your question.
Hello, good evening. I'm Abednego, watching live from Springs Valley.
Yes, sir.
My question to our tax knowledgeable pastor is,
yes.
is there anything positive we are expecting from this punitive taxation? And two, the government seems to have forgotten nearly everything that the people of Kenya needs. That is the health sector and the water. Like the place I live in, we entirely depend on boreholes.
Okay.
Does the government have a way of listening to the people? Because in the public participation, we are not even allowed to participate.
Wow, so you are just an attendee in a public participation.
Oh yes, thank you.
Thank you so much for your question. Thank you so much. If there is any other person that is calling, maybe there were calls coming in before, but we weren't taking them. No, that's a very interesting question. Is there anything good? Can anything good come from Bethlehem? Because everybody, you know, many people are talking about finance bill ni mbaya, ni mbaya, ni mbaya wapi. Others are saying ni mzuri, ni mzuri, ni mzuri wapi. What are the pros and the cons in this thing? What are the good, the positive side and the negative side?
Yeah, thank you, sir, for asking that question. I don't know if I'm audible enough. Thank you for asking that question. I believe that whenever you see the government is pushing, you know, the common wananchi is like, we are like children. For you to give a medicine to a child, there are those medicine which are coated. So there is a way that the government has coated the finance bill, like those medicine for kids, so that it is sweet on the outside, but in the inside, it is so bitter. One of the things I've seen, and allow me just to specifically mention some of the gains when it comes to individual incomes, because I know the positive side of this bill cuts across the industries, the manufacturing, the trade, and every other industry there. So, but allow me, for the purpose of our viewers, which I believe most of them are currently just self-employed or employed, one of the things that the government has introduced is to increase the limit for pension, the pension limit, so the tax deductible limit. Currently it was standing at 20,000, but now the government is proposing to increase that figure to 30,000.
All right.
So that means that on your pay slip, there will be an increment of relief. But again, you see, that amount will only affect those who are earning
above that.
Above, no. It's like a salary of 500 or 400 and above. When you translate their pension, you may find it falls in that bracket, where they can enjoy that particular relief. There's also this tax that they introduced last year, and Omutata challenged it, and then they returned it in March, the housing levy. So there has been conversations around the relief on housing levy, which this finance bill is addressing. There's going to be relief for those who are paying the housing. And also there are other issues like the capital tax gains. When you are getting your retirement benefits, let's take, for example, right now you are employed and you are on pension, and every month there is an amount of money that goes to a registered pensioner. So the day that you withdraw that money, that money is not going to be tax deductible. But you see, this particular legislation is only for this season. They can return it the next fiscal year. So the thing that that sounds good here, it is good to keep in mind that whatever looks good or whatever looks bad is just for this financial year. So if it passes, it is going to oppress us, or we are going to enjoy it for the next 12 months.
So is it the same as saying, ile nilikuwa nakwambia, you are given a sweet, and as you are taking it, unanyang'anywa eclairs, unapewa sasa KSL.
That is exactly what is happening.
And also, they give you a tax relief on this particular part, but they give you housing levy.
So even that housing levy, the burden is higher than the relief that you are getting.
So really,
so you can be paying a housing levy of 5,000, but you get a relief of 200.
Okay. That is it. So what are the extreme harsh conditions about this finance bill 2024? What are some of the disadvantages, the downsides of this?
Yeah, looking at the taxes that affect the common wananchi, the first one is this issue of the vehicle tax, which we saw stands at 2.5%. Now, somebody may say, me, I don't have a vehicle, so I'm okay with the tax, the finance bill. But
hata wamesema wenye wanalalamika sana ni wenye hawana magari.
Wenye hawana magari eti ndio wanalalamika. But let me tell you, when you introduce VAT on bread,
Yes.
that means the cost of bread is going to shoot up. So Kenyans, if the bill passed the way it is, then prepare to look for an alternative means of feeding your family in the morning. The only funny thing with Kenyans is that we cry for 1 month, 2 months, then we get used. Because I remember this bread we are talking about, there's a time bread was trading at 30 shillings, it went to 40, 50, and now just a very small piece of bread, they reduced even the slices, is going for 120. In fact, for a family, a good size of a family of 3 kids plus maybe a worker there, you just have to spend like 130 on bread, so that every person can do. So when you talk about introducing VAT on the bread, then this means the cost of bread is going to go up.
Cooking oil.
The cooking oil. Then now the packaging. The government introduced the excise duty on the packaging, on the plastic packaging.
Excise sasa ni nini?
Excise.
Ni exercise book ama?
Excise, it is not the exercise, but excise is EXCISE.
Forget the spelling. Just,
So now,
just tell us what it is. Some people here may not follow about the spellings. Excise duty.
these are duties that are levied on the production. Like, so if a manufacturer produces something, is supposed to attach a levy onto that, the excise on extra production, right? So the excise duty, they have introduced it on plastic packaging. And we saw the other day Coca-Cola company coming out so blazing that this is now going to make the cost of those beverages to shoot up. So anything that is packaged on a plastic, even those oil, the cooking oil, and the drinks, this Afia and Coca-Cola, anything that is packaged on a plastic.
So even bread itself is double taxed because most of the bread is packaged in plastic papers.
That is the one of the issues that even Coca-Cola raised, that now look, we are going to face double taxation on this.
Yes.
So other than the excise duty, we see the finance bill also comes with it, looking at the issue of NSSF.
Yes.
You know, people are silent on this, but this one was effected in the last financial budget, where the government removed NSSF rate from 200 to 1,080.
Yes.
So I know most of Kenyans are aware that they used to pay NSSF at 200 shillings. And then beginning February 2023, this figure shot up to 1,080. That is 5 times.
Wow.
They increased NSSF to 5 times. Now, coming to 2024, February, another increase took effect. This is something that, according to the bill for 2023-2024, it's supposed to be annual increment. So every February, we are going to see an annual increment on NSSF. So coming this year, 2024 February, we saw the government increasing the NSSF from 1,080 maximum to 2,060. So it doubles it. So this means that at the end of the regime, by 2027, people are going to pay NSSF of around even 15,000.
Wow.
Right? And then there is also this issue of NHIF. NHIF
Siku nasikia inaitwa shifu.
Inaitwa sifu. So this NHIF, I saw some circular that's supposed to take effect from next month, which is July. So this means that NSSF, we are going to levy 2.5%, is it 2.75% of your income?
Gross.
And there is no cap, of your gross. There is no cap. So somebody that is earning 300,000 or 100,000 may end up paying an SSF of 5,000 shillings. Wow. So you can just work those figures because they are on the public domain. We have seen the introduction of various taxes, which now makes this bill become so punitive. And interestingly enough, the MPs that are loyal to the Kenya Kwanza government, they have come out and say, look, we are going to pass it whether you like it or not. those in opposition are saying we are going to take punitive measures on any member
That will support it.
that will support it.
So now, forget about Kenya Kwanza and opposition. Let's just talk about the bill itself. Let's just talk about how it affects the common man. When bread goes high, what are you telling the local person? You see, there's a small video that we did, and in that video, you can see that woman anauza makaa. You know, that lady selling makaa on the street. Ule mwingine anatengeneza samaki to sell is using edible oil. Oil imepanda, you know, and venye oil imepanda, maybe is using gas imepanda. So ile fish tulikuwa tumezoea kununua 250, now is gonna be retailing at 300. So if I used to buy 2 fish at 500, now I have to buy at 100. So if I used to buy 4 fish, now I'll have to buy just 3. So it means in my household, the number of fish I buy is reduced. So that person who was selling 10 fish in a day now will have to reduce the number of fish they sell. So what are we doing? Are we really empowering this person, or are we disempowering them?
Yeah, looking at it from that angle, you see the business climate. You know, even business needs an environment.
And talk about what has happened also to companies rolling out, you know?
Yes.
Leaving our space. Somebody was saying something as we were coming here. When electricity we had a power outage today, power blackout or whatever, and somebody just said in passing, I don't know how true it is, I can't verify, until the company that wanted to put us on solar power grid was frustrated, and they moved to a neighboring country, and now they are providing energy there. So what is this with the production and the manufacturing companies, you know, winding up and something like that?
Yeah, it is true. Well, what we have witnessed in our nation in the past, let's say from 2023, because I believe this is the second budget which they are passing under this current regime. Businesses needs an environment in order to survive. Just the same way you plant, I remember when we were in primary school and we could do a science experiment where you put a plant inside a dark room, and then the plant begin to grow towards the source of light.
Yes.
Every business needs an environment in order to blossom.
An ecosystem.
Yes. So what you see in our nation and the exit by some of the major corporations within our nation is so alarming, especially from 2023. The first one of its kind, we saw the pull-out by De La Rue, right?
Nandi wanaundanga do.
De La Rue, and they are printing money. So you wonder if the organization that is printing notes and bills for the government is pulling out. And they were saying, we have stayed for so long, it's almost a year, we have never received an order from the government to print, right? So the business became so unbearable. De La Rue withdrew, and we saw a lot of people losing their jobs. And then remember that each person, when one person loses a job in a company, it affects the whole household.
It is a cycle.
It is a cycle. So indirectly, a company can lay off 300 people, but indirectly, the people that get affected
30,000
are 30,000.
Yes, that one I can attest, because if today I was rendered economically redundant or useless, I have about 30-50 people behind me.
Yes.
So those people, their expectations are now doomed, because kuna mtoto pale una support shule, kuna mwingine pale unalipia hii, kuna mwingine anategemea chakula, kuna mwingine anategemea umlipe. You have employees, other employees here and there. You have a house help in the house. You have a shamba boy here and there. You have a taxi driver. All those things.
Now, De La Rue itself laid off like over 300 jobs.
Wow.
That is gone. Then we saw another company that was working in Karen called the Builders Retail Store. That also pulled out of our market. Then we saw African Oil pulling out of Turkana.
Wow.
And the government brought in some of tax arrears that company had to pay. So there were issues they had to sort out with this Tulo. It's called Tulo something.
Yes, Tulo oil.
And then we saw the exit of Market Force from our Kenyan market. This is a B2B e-commerce organization. So looking at the trend and the companies that have pulled out, just recently, like a week ago, we saw the leadership of Bidco Oil.
Yes.
Coming out and saying, now this is not going to be bearable for us. We cannot take this anymore. Coca-Cola also, they come up and they say this is higher. Another one is Glaxo.
Yes,
the company that is making drugs.
GlaxoSmithKline.
Yeah, that was the least expected.
Ikachomoka.
Because tell me, of all the things for a drug to close,
Na dawa inanunuliwa na kila mtu.
dawa inanunuliwa kwa sababu watu wanagonjeka, but now when you see we come into a financial crisis and people cannot even afford, and then the business becomes so costly, this has left the other nations within the East African community to become much more attractive to the investors.
I pray that by the grace of God, our country, we will be able to, you see, the power is with the citizen. Mwacha historia ya kusemanga hii ni serikali ya kanisa. There is no constituency called church. In fact, hakuna eneo bunge called kanisa. Hakuna MP ana represent church. Our MP wote wako kwa parliament, they represent constituencies in the Republic of Kenya with the names. In Kajiado, we have Kajiado East, West, North, Central. You know, there is no Kajiado church. There is no Kenya church constituency. So it is upon us as we are coming to the end of this show tonight, because this is a very interesting show. We have to have another session. So we come to a place whereby, as a church, you need to realize that you have a responsibility. You can recall your MP, you can recall your MCA. Now, just give your parting shot because we have a minute. And I am requesting that next Saturday you will be here so that we can continue.
All right. Thank you so much to our precious viewer and those who have been following us up to this far. I want to say that all is not lost. We still have a great nation, and all we need are brilliant minds and people that can come up with solutions in order to address the challenges that are facing our nation. So as Christians, I want to advise and call upon all Christians, wherever they are, that let us not join forces into just criticizing from the house, but let us come up with constructive ways in which we can criticize and also call out this government. And for those leaders that we feel are not doing the right thing, the Constitution gives us the leeway on ways we can recall our MPs, our MCS, in case you find they are underperforming or they have become so insensitive to the issues that affect the common man. So let us arise, let us pray. I leave you with Isaiah chapter number 60, arise for your time has come.
Wow, what a wonderful way to end the show tonight. And as usual, we cannot end the show before I invite you to church tomorrow. And I'll allow the man of God also to invite you to church tomorrow in Athi River.
Yes, I want to take this opportunity to welcome you to our service in Athi River Open Heavens Revival Church. We are located just a few meters after J&L Apartments in Embakasi area of Athi River. Besides the pulpit, I am a trained accountant, a certified accountant, and so far so good. I thank God because of the opportunity to speak to you tonight.
Awesome. And here at Springs of Restoration Church Kitengela, we extend our invite as well, coming from around here or from far and you'd want to join us. Our services start at 8 a.m. all the way to around 12:30 or 1 p.m. And it shall be a pleasure to have you. And tomorrow we have a special Sunday service. It's called The Man. We shall be looking at the man. Otherwise, God bless you, God keep you. It is your responsibility and your duty to keep the government of the day in check. Shalom. God bless you.
God bless you.
Thank you.
When the foundations are shaken, what are the righteous supposed to do? When everyone else is crying, when things don't seem to be working, when it looks like everything is going south, promises are not being kept, whatever we thought will happen is not what is happening, what are we supposed to do? Or is it really whatever we thought that is going to happen that is not happening? What did we expect? How are we supposed to look at things today? When the foundations are shaken, what will the righteous do? Shall we hold our hands back and just say all is well? Shall we be on the offensive, and how? Shall we voice out our voices? Shall we speak out? To who? Where? How? Why should we speak? Why shouldn't we speak? Every government comes from God. Shall we blame God for this? Shall we not blame Him? Is it really a bad government, or is it a good government? Join us tonight at the tight corner.
Tano kwa mwezi. Mtu anakata NSSF, NHIF, REFI, income tax, pay as you earn as you pay, marriage tax, pedestrian tax, zebra crossing tax, traffic lights tax, value added tax, tax added value. Ile kitu bwana anapaki kwenda kuchukua ni ile karatasi ya payslip. Utakataa kupewa kitu kidogo. Watu nyalile bwana.
As we look into the issue of financing a nation. Shalom. See you there.